If you enjoy this video, please remember to subscribe if you haven't already. And if you like what you see on my channel and would like to support me on Patreon, click on the link below. There have been many famous robots throughout film history that have captured our imaginations, but none have been as memorable as Robby the Robot. Robby the Robot, a character that made his debut in the 1956 MGM science fiction film Forbidden Planet. The story centers around a crew of space explorers from Earth who land their spaceship, the C-57D, on the planet Altair 4. The crew find only 2 human survivors. One of them is Dr. Morbius, who with his daughter has made a life for themselves on the planet. Morbius has been studying the long extinct race of the Krell, but Dr. Morbius has an incredible dark secret that is a risk to everyone's lives. The film was in fact based on the famous Shakespeare play, The Tempest. There are some major stars in Forbidden Planet, including Walter Pidgeon, the attractive Anne Francis, and a very young Leslie Nielsen as the captain of the C-57D. But the main scene stealer throughout the sci-fi classic is not the actors, but a robot by the name of Robby. Robby the Robot was the mechanical servant of Dr. Morbius, who designed and built the amazing robot from his knowledge of his study of the long-extinct Krell, whose technology was way ahead of Earth's technology. Robby can synthesize anything from building materials, clothes, to food, and even alcohol. Morbius programmed Robby to obey a set of rules, which are similar to Isaac Asimov's 3 laws of robotics, which were expressed in the famous book I, Robot. Robby the Robot was designed by members of the MGM art department and prop department. The Robby the Robot design was developed from ideas and sketches by production designer Arnold Gillespie, art director Arthur Lonigan, and writer Irving Block. These concepts were refined by the production illustrator Mentor Hubner and perfected by MGM draftsman and mechanical designer Robert Kinoshita, a Japanese-American engineer. Kinoshita designed the robot at Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer Studios in Culver City on July the 1st, 1955. The design was groundbreaking for its time and looked very sleek and impressive on film, which threw away the conventional man-in-a-suit robot design. Kinoshita's experience as a washing machine designer helped in the design of Robby, who had a bulky barrel-like design, much like an old-style washing machine.
I designed it so that he can do practically anything, and especially emphasize his strength and all, being a mechanical thing.
The design would make it possible to film Robby the Robot from any angle, and for him to move around. Robby had mechanical movements, but did actually require an operator inside the big robot shell in order to move around. In Forbidden Planet, an uncredited stuntman, Frank Darrow, and Frankie Carpenter sat inside Robby. Both of the actors were short in stature. Actor Darrow was just 5'3". During the shooting of Forbidden Planet, the voice of Robby was performed off-camera by an uncredited actor who spoke lines into a microphone that was fed into a voice-actuated circuit connected by a cable run into Robby's foot and then up through the leg and all the way to the neon tubes in Robby's head. This device generated a control voltage that would synchronize the flashing of the neon tubes in time to the dialogue. The voice heard in the finished film was then re-recorded during post-production by actor Marvin Miller. MGM would spend a whopping $125,000 in the design and construction of Robby the Robot, which today would amount to over $1 million. This made Robby the Robot the most expensive film prop ever created.
I remember that first day, the crew just stood around and looked at it and wondered, what the hell is this going to do?
Forbidden Planet was a major success for MGM when released in 1956. The film was truly the first real A-grade science fiction film of its time. The winning star of that movie was Robby the Robot.
Well, yes, he happens to be here tonight. Would you like to meet him?
Oh, I'd love to.
Robby? Robby, would you come out?
You sure this guy knows how to stop him, huh? This is your agent?
Well, no, he's not really my agent, Perry. No, this is Robby the Robot. He's one of the stars of Forbidden Planet. Robby, this is Perry Como.
I know.
He even got his very own film in 1957, titled The Invisible Boy, about a 10-year-old boy played by Richard Gere, who teams up with Robby the Robot and bond together to stop a supercomputer from controlling the Earth from a satellite. MGM made The Invisible Boy, partly because it was so expensive to build him, and because of Forbidden Planet's incredible success that MGM felt obliged to use him in another film. The Invisible Boy was a moderate success in the US. The film received many positive reviews. Robby, after the success of Forbidden Planet and The Invisible Boy, became a science fiction pop culture icon, making more appearances than any other robot in history, and in the many years to follow would be reused or recreated in multiple TV shows and movies, making more appearances than any other robot in history. Robby would make his TV debut on an episode of The Thin Man in the Season 1 episode Robot Client, which aired 1958. He would then appear in The Many Loves of Dobie Gillis in the Season 4 episode Beethoven, Presley and Me, which aired on the 13th of March in 1963. Robby would be seen in 4 episodes of Rob Serling's The Twilight Zone. These episodes were filmed at MGM Studios. Robby's first Twilight Zone appearance was in the form of a Robby the Robot tin-plated battery-operated toy in the Season 1 episode, One for the Angels. Robby's prototype head was seen in the episode The Little People in 1962. In the episode Uncle Simon, Robby's head was replaced with a more simplified early version prototype head. It was not clearly known if the internal oil can head was the original head design for Forbidden Planet, because it's not the standard design that MGM would have approved, but it may have been just made for the filming of The Twilight Zone. This oil can style prop actually still survives today and is owned by Robby the Robot's now owner, William Malone. Robby then would make his final Twilight Zone appearance in the 1964 episode The Brain Center at Whipple's. Robby made even more appearances on TV shows including Hazel in the Season 2 episode Rosie's Contract, the Addams Family episode Lurch's Little Helper in 1966, and that same year in the spy show The Man from U.N.C.L.E. episode The Bridge of Lions Affair, and the Man from U.N.C.L.E. feature film One of Our Spies is Missing. But for me, it was his appearance in the Lost in Space episode, War of the Robots, in 1966. In the episode, Robby the Robot has to battle with the B9 robot, a robot which was in fact designed by Robby the Robot's original designer, Robert Kinoshita. In several scenes with Robby as the Robotoid, the classic Bernard Herrmann theremin music from The Day the Earth Stood Still can be heard. Robby would again appear in the episode titled Condemned of Space. In this episode, Robby was equipped with a freezing gun aboard a prison ship. Robby would be referenced and parodied in an episode of The Monkees titled The Monkees Watch Their Feet, where Mickey Dolenz is kidnapped and replaced by a lookalike android. When the other monkeys find out what is going on, they get the android to confess, and he identifies himself as Robby the Robot. But Robby himself never makes an appearance in the episode. Robby was redressed and made a number of appearances on the show The Banana Splits as a robot maid named Mildred the Robot, without the plexiglass dome head. In 1971, the original 1956 Robby was sold to Jim Brooker and was put on display at the Movie World Cars of the Stars Museum in Buena Park, California, but was unfortunately vandalized by many visitors. The robot Robby fell into disrepair, and robot historian Fred Barton was hired to restore Robby to his original 1956 state, using duplicate replacement parts. The museum closed in 1980, and Robby, along with his vehicle, was sold to William Malone. The robot once again needed to be repaired and restored, and having built the first replica in 1973, Malone was able to easily restore Robby to his original pristine 1956 condition using original spare parts. Robby the Robot remained in Malone's collection for many years. Robby was finally sold off in New York on November the 21st, 2017 for over $5 million, which made Robby the most expensive film prop ever sold. All appearances after 1971 were made by a replica of Robby that would make a number of appearances on TV throughout the 70s in an episode of Columbo titled Mind Over Mayhem as Double M7 in 1974. The replica appeared in the film co-directed by Joe Dante called Hollywood Boulevard in 1976, and that same year in an episode of Arc 2 titled The Robot. This was my favourite, and definitely the most memorable of Arc 2's episodes. Robby appeared on the show Holmes and Yo-Yo. He even made an appearance on a compilation LP through K-Tel titled Music Machine, released in 1977. In the commercial for the LP, Robby dances to some of the songs on the album. In the Project UFO episode, citing 4010, the Waterford incident in 1978, Robby appeared, but his head was flatter, with brain elements, with a large Cyclops eye, a modified torso panel, and assorted add-ons to the legs. This Cyclops version of Robby was also used in an episode of the 1977 TV series Space Academy. He also appeared on a television commercial for Starlog magazine in 1978. One of Robby's most memorable appearances was in the Happy Days spin-off Mork and Mindy in the second season episode Dr. Morgenstein. Robby appeared as a character called Chuck, who was actually voiced by actor Roddy McDowall. Mork, played by Robin Williams, makes friends with the robot while working as a security guard in a science museum where Chuck is on display. Throughout the 1980s until 2014, the robot made many more appearances in various TV shows and movies. He appeared in the background of an inventors convention in the Joe Dante movie Gremlins in 1984. Other movies included Cherry 2000 in 1987, Phantom Empire in 1988, and in the movie Looney Tunes Back in Action in 2003. And he appeared in the Season 8 episode of The Big Bang Theory in 2014. Robby the Robot remained famous, and today still is well known among film and TV fans, making many appearances at conventions. Robby the Robot is a big part of the science fiction film and TV universe, still making appearances over 60 years since his debut in the movie Forbidden Planet. Robby the Robot is my ultimate favourite robot, and is definitely the most memorable robot of all time. My name's JonnyBaak. Thanks for watching.